Hey gorgeous, welcome to the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L.E Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Kayla Smith, CEO of the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L Society, a woman's health hub for fertility, hormones, and the business of coaching, creator of the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L method, an infertility warrior, two-time boy mom, and women's health expert. This podcast is for women struggling with infertility, painful periods, terrible PMS, or really any symptom of hormone imbalance that they are ready to eliminate for good. Tune in weekly because we will be interviewing amazing experts in the field of women's health, breaking down those hormone walls, nerding out on nutrition, and having way too much fun. Whether you're just beginning your fertility journey or you've been struggling for years, we are going to finally help you put those pieces of your hormone puzzle back together so that you can get pregnant and eliminate those pesky symptoms for good. Are you ready? Thank you so much for tuning in. Now let's get started on your road to transformation. Hey gorgeous, welcome back to the show. I am so excited to have you here. Each week, we're going to talk to some amazing experts and really dive into topics all around fertility. So you're not going to want to miss a single show. If you haven't already, take a minute and hit that subscribe button. That will ensure that you never miss a single episode. So we'll take 1 second. We can wait. Hit that button and make sure you're all set. Also, I would be forever grateful if you would leave us a review on iTunes. This will help more people find this show, and it will allow us to help even more women on their journeys with fertility and hormones. And this is how iTunes decide who is shown what. So this way you can do your part to help the infertility community, and it would make me so very excited. So thank you. I would be forever grateful if you would do that for me. Thanks, gorgeous. And now let's get on with the show. Hey, beautiful. Do I have some exciting news to share with you? You can now try my Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L membership club for free for 7 days. That's right. 1 whole week of free access to my Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L membership club. And because of countless requests and being frustrated as hell that I can't help more people, because let's face it, there's only so many hours in a day, I decided to do this super cool thing, and that's create the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L membership club. And on this platform, I'm going to provide you with education, inspiration, community, and hope, and a whole lot of fun. And give you a little pleasure in a time that sometimes is anything but pleasurable. Every month, there will be new areas to explore, new people to connect with, all of this and more. So many resources to help you put the pieces of your Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L back together so you can finally get pregnant or eliminate those pesky hormone symptoms, depending on your goal, without spending thousands of dollars and jeopardizing your precious time. So to learn more and to take advantage of this free gift of 7 days free, go to CoachKayla.com/membership. Can't wait to see you on the inside. Bye for now. Aimee Raupp is a renowned women's health and fertility expert, celebrity acupuncturist and coach, and the best-selling author of the books Chill Out and Get Healthy, Yes, You Can Get Pregnant, and Body Belief. Aimee works virtually with clients all over the world, as well as she's a licensed acupuncturist and herbalist in private practice in New York and Connecticut. Aimee holds a Master of Science degree in traditional Oriental medicine from the Pacific College of Oriental Medicine and a bachelor's degree in biology from Rutgers University. She is also the founder of Aimee Raupp Beauty line of handcrafted organic skincare products that are optimized for hormone harmony. She has appeared on The View, has been featured in Glamour, Allure, Well and Good, Minds Body Green, Shape, and many podcasts, including Wellness Mama, Melissa Ambrosi, Dr. Frank Lipman. Aimee has received endorsements from Deepak Chopra, Dr. Christiane Norup, Ariana Huffington, and Gabrielle Bernstein for her work in helping thousands of women to improve their fertility, celebrate their beauty, and reconnect to the presence of their optimal health. Aimee is also the head of Chinese medicine at The Well in New York City and is a frequent speaker at women's health and wellness conferences across the nation. She engages her large community worldwide through her social media presence, online programs, and through her website, aimeeraupp.com. Let's welcome Aimee to the show. Hey, Aimee, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So tell our audience a little more about you, about who you are, and I think you had your own story with fertility. So let's dive into that a little bit.
Sure. So, I am an acupuncturist and herbalist and have been in clinical practice for 17 years and have been helping women on their path to, I think generally speaking, to becoming the best versions of themselves, optimizing their health mentally, emotionally, physically, nutritionally, and ultimately helping women get pregnant. I wrote a book that is a bestseller on Amazon called Yes, You Can Get Pregnant. And so that book came out in 2015. It was my second book, but still by far my best-selling book, and deals mainly with fertility challenges and how to naturally improve your fertility now and into your 40s. That's the subtitle. And so ever since that book came out, I'm much more on the scene of basically helping women overcome fertility challenges or, I think really though, just guide them to the best versions of themselves. And then, I still continue to be in my private practice doing acupuncture and herbs, but I also have now for the last 3 years have an online business where I do online coaching with women all over the world, trying to optimize their fertility. I have a couple of fertility coaches now that work under me. We have some digital courses, and I have a third book that came out about autoimmunity. And, talk a lot about how autoimmunity pertains to fertility and how that's impacting so many, I think, majority of women going through fertility challenges. Like if you look at PCOS and endo and even premature ovarian aging or failure, I think there's definitely an autoimmune link. There's a lot of autoimmune characteristics to those disease states. And so I find that when I treat clients like they have an autoimmune condition, I think they get pregnant a lot faster, or their whole life shifts, I'll say that. And then I actually wrote Yes, You Can Get Pregnant when I was, I think, 36 or 37. I can't remember anymore. Maybe I wrote it when I was 38. I don't remember. But I got a lot of flack is what I remember, because I hadn't yet had children, and people were like, how do you really know what works? And I was like, well, guys, I have like thousands of patients that like I've freaking helped. And I think I do know what works, and it was like, well, you're almost 40 and you don't have a baby. And I was like, well, cause I haven't met the right person yet to have babies with, get off my back. And so I met my husband right before I turned 40, and we got pregnant, naturally and easily, thank God, on the second month of trying for our son, James. And then, for a while tabled the idea of a second child. Just life was, a little more chaotic than I think we had anticipated, with stuff with my husband and his career. And, anyway, so we tabled the idea of a second child for a while. And then I really came to peace with actually just having one child. And then last year, I accidentally fell pregnant, which I know is really annoying for everybody to hear. I will say with an asterisk of like, I've been longing for that to kind of happen. Like I was like, well, if it happens accidentally, he's not going to tell me to not do anything. You know what I mean? So just a little side note to all the ladies out there. Like I still did want this second child, but wasn't actively pursuing it. I would say that, but obviously had, known my fertile windows, and we have a healthy sex life. And so things happen. I unfortunately miscarried at about 9.5 weeks due to Turner syndrome, which was sad, and I had to do a D&C and all that shit, and that sucked. And so now the last couple months, we are now 100% on board together as a couple to try and make another baby.
Right.
And we'll see. I hope to give you guys good news, sooner than later. But, that it was an interesting experience. I'll definitely say that, having had so much experience with many of my clients going through miscarriage to experience it myself, and just, how devastating it is, how freeing it is to talk about it. And I think how the sharing really helped me lift the shame. I definitely felt like a failure, where I was like, how do I tell women what to do and how to help them figure it out? And I can't even do it. It was that kind of thing. Like, I would say my ego got very involved for a little bit. And, I think I've worked through it. I don't know. I guess it's like a grief, a death of anything, it comes in waves. But generally speaking, I do look at it as a pretty positive experience, and one that helps me really relate to my girls on another level. And also the way I say my girls, I have a secret Facebook group that goes with one of my courses, and there's a couple hundred women in there, and we're pretty tight. Like, I go live in there every single week, and I'll tell you, the way they rallied around me, was, it would make me cry even just talk about it. It was like nothing I ever expected. And the way I just had so much support just kind of like built into my life that, it really helped the process a lot. And that women who truly understood what I was going through, and women that I helped overcome their challenges. And it was all just like, remember what you said to me. Remember, some of them got together. They actually cut and pasted from emails that I had sent them over the years, or posts that I had done in the Facebook group. And they just like shot my words all back at me. And it was really, really special.
That's amazing.
So yeah, there I am. So I guess I'm in the, I'm a little bit in the club in a sense. I think my story is very different, and I never would compare it to anybody else's. But I do understand that loss of a miscarriage situation now, and it's painful. Yeah. And wanting something you want, something you want so badly, and having to come to terms with didn't work out. That's sad.
Yeah. And even though your story is different than, most fertility, it's still a very powerful one. And I think it's helped a lot of women. And I love what your clients did and sending you all your work.
Yeah, so sweet. I know. Yeah.
I love it. And your book really has helped me in my own
thank you.
story with fertility and with my clients. Like, I literally have read it cover to cover like so many times. I'm like, this is amazing.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get your newest book. And I agree. I feel like a lot of fertility things are linked with autoimmune. It just seems very similar to me. And not a lot of people are talking about that. And so,
I just spoke at the Endometriosis Summit, which is like their yearly summit. And, I kind of said that, and I guess I had to be aware of the company I was in. A lot of them are medical doctors and research scientists. And, I got corrected, which I took in, as being a previous scientist, I suppose, of endometriosis isn't, at this point in time, classified as an autoimmune condition. However, it's classified as an inflammatory condition that has several autoimmune characteristics.
Right.
And so I said, listen, whatever you want to call it, I'll just tell you this, guys. Like, when I treat it like an autoimmune condition, it gets better. And things figure themselves out. And when I get them to, there was a reproductive immunologist on the panel. I said, when I get him to a doctor, like Dr. Vidali, that's who was on the panel. I said, he figured, he treats it the same way I treat it. And guess what? These girls wind up, figuring it out, and they carry to term. And, we were talking kind of in relation to habitual miscarriages, which typically also have an autoimmune style link or characteristics. But yeah, when I wrote Yes, You Can Get Pregnant and was doing all the research, for the 4 most common reasons for fertility challenges, the first being like structural anatomical issues, then endometriosis, then polycystic, and then premature ovarian failure or aging. And you can kind of when you really look back at all the data, and you just start to see there's these correlations where it's like, oh my gosh, I think they all actually have, an autoimmune condition that's like, a lot of these women have a morbidity, I suppose is the actual term, but, they have like celiac, or they have Hashimoto's, they have rheumatoid arthritis, colitis, something like that, like have some other autoimmune thing that's going on. And, some of the clinics now are even screening every single woman that comes through for Hashis and for celiac, because it's so common to see it. And then it's almost like these are secondary to that. And I think it's because there's like a micronutrient deficiency, right? The inflammation has just set off this cascade. And so for me, it helps my brain, right? And it sounds like yours too, of like, that's how I go in and really like, unpack it all and figure it out. It's like, there's this thing there's a miscommunication that's going on. And if we can just figure that piece out, then, not to sound overly hopeful, but I think you then can figure out the case and help them get their baby.
Sure. And I find that a lot too. Sometimes people come to me, and I deal a lot with nutrition, and just little tweaks like going gluten free or going very
small, or taking lectins out. Like I've seen, I had a girl would do these group coaching programs, my associate Michelle and I, and we had like our wrap up call last week, and I send them like a wrap up, case summary, if you will. And, she had said in one of the emails, she was like, "Oh, I love being in the group, and it's so helpful, and the mindset stuff." She's like, "I don't know that you guys necessarily, I was looking for that like one magic bullet of like what I need to change to fix everything." And I was like, "Yeah, aren't we all?" Right. Good luck with that. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist. I think the one magic bullet is called surrender, but that's for like a whole other conversation. And I say that with love, of course. But anyway, I said to her, I went through her whole thing, and like we took soy out of her diet, and I adjusted like how many nuts she's eating, and she's on more bone broth, and she's eating more cooked than raw. And I was like, "Girl, I know you've been like following the diet like that to a T, like for the most part, but I'm like, these tweaks are major. Like they're absolutely major tweaks that are gonna have really beneficial long-term effects." And, it's like, I have some of my most complicated cases. It was like, I was their 7th acupuncturist and like 5th nutritionist. And like, they've seen like 5 functional medicine doctors and 6 REs. And it's like, well, I was the only one who actually played around with nuts and beans. And guess what? You got to where, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you were paleo. That was awesome. You were doing the things, but then it is those little tweaks that I think make a significant difference. And I think the only way you can figure out what tweaks are that need to be made is an elimination diet. Mm-hmm. None of that food testing, 0, 0, 0. None of the food testing doesn't make any sense. But I'm all about the elimination diet. And so we put girls through that, and then you figure out their triggers.
Yep.
and there you have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's so simple, but so complex.
Powerful. It's powerful. It's powerful. I think it's so powerful. And I don't talk about that as much in Yes, You Can Get Pregnant, because I feel like it was just like general, even though I eliminate quite a few things, obviously, in that diet. But in Body Belief, in my autoimmune book, is really where I started to like niche it down, where I was like, okay, like my more complicated cases, this is where you got to go. You got to go to Body Belief. There's a lot of girls that get pregnant reading Yes, You Can Get Pregnant, and it's amazing. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm happy for them. And then there's a subset of girls that's not enough, basically.
Right. I love that. And I'm ready to get your book. So hopefully it's out soon, or it's out now.
Oh yeah, it's out. It's out. I can send you a copy. I got like 100 over here on the wall. So just after we're done, message, I'll send you a copy. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about mindset. I love that you go with mindset. And I love that you ask the question, do you actually believe you can get pregnant? Because that's like such a powerful question. And I've even started asking people that same question, and it's crazy to me that at first they're always automatic. Well, yeah, I believe I can get pregnant. But when they start really thinking about it, and they're like, well, do I believe that?
Yeah, they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared to say yes because they don't want to fail, right? The mindset is huge. I mean, I think when we know it from like a physiological perspective, it's just like something new I've started saying, I think from doing some functional medicine training, but every day when you wake up, the body has a choice to go down that reproductive pathway or to go down the fight or flight pathway. So, and it'll make the body hospitable for reproduction, or it will not, depending on that mindset piece. And then, I get into it a lot in Body Belief of like, your thoughts dictate your behaviors, your behavior dictates your health, right? And your health dictates your fertility. And so, it's not so much as like, although I am a big subscriber of like the law of attraction, and you know, I love some of my spiritual teachers who really preach a lot of those teachings. But it's also to understand that the thoughts we think really do set up a physiological cascade in our body, and they do actually impact how our body functions. And if every day your thoughts are, I'm broken, my FSH is too high, I'm too old, there's no hope, I'm just going to have another miscarriage, or I can't make a good quality egg, it doesn't lend itself to optimal fertility. And, you know, I talk about it, like I feel like the term I like to use a lot is emotional inflammation. So everybody's about the anti-inflammatory diet to reduce physical inflammation, but very few people are talking about the emotional inflammation. And we know that, you know, and I hate to say it because everybody gets so annoyed, but stress impacts fertility. We know it. And we know it because stress impacts how our body chooses to survive every day, basically. Like, I always see it from a Chinese medicine perspective as like fertility is just like when the body's like, I got so much to give away. Like, I am just like juicy and flowing, and I got all the things I need, and I feel safe, and I feel protected, and I'm happy, and yes, bring in that baby, you know, and that's our goal, right? I think as coaches, that's our goal, to get our girls there. Really hard to do in the current, you know, society we live in. And then with all the doctor's visits and constantly being told like, oh no, you're too old, or you're broken, or your AMH is this. Oh, remember you don't make good quality eggs. I strongly recommend donor egg, you know, so it's just like, you're constantly in this battle with the outside world and the inside world. But every day, if you can, you know, what I try to teach my clients is just like I don't think you can positively affirm your way out of a negative mindset. I think that's bogus and a lot of pressure to put on somebody, you know, so affirmations are really nice and pretty, and I'm all for them. But as my spiritual teacher would say, the universe hears how you feel, not what you say, you know? And so I want you to start to get to this place where, okay, maybe I don't believe I'm not broken, but maybe, I believe that, you know, I can fix my digestion, or that, you know, people with diabetes can turn it around, or heart disease. So why couldn't I improve, like, you know, the cellular function in my body? Or I do believe I can balance my hormones if I change my diet. And maybe if I improve my hormones, then maybe it would impact my fertility. So just getting them to like inch along. Like I always say, like, and it's my spiritual teacher who says it, like, how can you say that better? You know, so instead of like, I'm broken, there's no hope, you could also even just use, you know, we call them stories of hope and on my website and my blog, but you could use other women as a source of inspiration of like, okay, well, she has a similar story and she figured it out. So I guess there is some hope for me, you know? So it's this thing of like, just slowly shifting yourself to, you know, a little more out of the dark and into the light, not necessarily being all in the light, because I think that's unrealistic.
Right.
I think a 60-40 goal is really an awesome, you know, that's an awesome place to be. 70-30, you know, I think you're winning for anything in life, you know, so just that, you know, understanding that what you do say to yourself in the privacy of your own mind really does impact things. And I think just even at the basic perspective of, if you are thinking I'm broken, why bother? Then, you know, you or I could tell them till we're blue in the face what diet to follow, but are they really going to do it? Because do they really believe it's going to help them, you know? And so, and I don't want girls, you know, and a lot of them do this, but I don't want this. I don't want them just checking the boxes so they can say, I tried everything and see, it still didn't work. You know, it's like, that's I get it, but that's the wrong attitude to be coming at this from. Like, it needs to be about, you do it for you, to nourish you, to fix, because chances are fertility is not the only health issue you have, you know, and I mean, I see that across the board, right? There's digestive issues, there's skin issues, there's sleep issues, there's emotional issues, and you know, period issues. I mean, the whole thing, ovulation issues. So I try to get the focus to be like on what I call the kinks in their system. And so we do this to nourish ourselves and take care of ourselves and make ourselves feel the best that we can feel in our body. And then baby comes as a side effect of that, right? But my goal is not the positive pregnancy test. My goal is like you taking care of you again and doing it for those reasons. And, you know, I think that's a difficult mindset shift for a lot of people, because most of us, you know, are told this is the recipe for success. So follow this recipe and it will work. And when it comes to fertility, It's a little harder than that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I love everything that you said, and I completely agree. So do you have any like tips or tricks for trying to get your mindset in the right place? You said you don't really think affirmations are, obviously they're helpful, but they're not the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I think like if you believe it, it's helpful.
Right.
So, but why don't you make some believable affirmations? That's where I would start of like the first thing to do is I think they say something like we have 50,000 thoughts a day and 90% of them are the same. So they're all rooted in like the same thing. And chances are the I am broken or I am not worthy conversation has been around a lot longer than the fertility challenges. And again, this is clinical experience speaking, I don't mean to sound judgmental or overgeneralize, but like I've been doing this 17 years. Like I feel like I see the pattern, and we all fall into it. And typically women, we're just harder on ourselves. It's just this society is like, oh, so I get to have the job of my dreams. I'm going to also get married and have 2.5 children and live in this house and have all these things and, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do all the things.
Right.
And it's actually impossible, and cut ourselves some slack is what we need to do. But, so I think step one is really starting to acknowledge the conversation you have with yourself in the privacy of your own mind. And I think it's really valuable to actually write it down for 4 or 5 days. Just witness, what are the thoughts you think, like when you look in the mirror, when you pee on your ovulation predictor kit stick, or you take a pregnancy test, or you go to have sex, you go to eat, what are the thoughts you think? Do you think like, oh, I shouldn't eat this because, Aimee said not to, or you know what I mean? Like, or, I wonder if the ovulation predictor kit's going to work. These things never work for me. Am I ovulating? Am I in menopause? I'm too old. Like, what is the conversation that you actually have with yourself? And start writing them down. Like, and the honesty is the key. Like the only person who, gets hurt when you're not honest with yourself is you, and it's just like, you got to be honest with yourself. And just start to say like, oh my God, I have a lot of fear. Or I talk horribly to my body every day. Start to be your own filter. And then I think when you catch on to the common conversation that you're having with yourself, there's a couple things you could do, but one that I think is easy for many is, how would you say that to your best friend? Would you use that same exact language? Don't think you would. So how can I say it better? You know what I mean? So it could be, well, there are some months that the OPK has worked for you, and you do seem to ovulate consistently around this time. And, your body's not a robot. You're not perfect, and you don't have to be perfect to get pregnant, and like food, right? It's like, okay, my spiritual teacher, again, she'll say, if you eat something and feel bad about it, it's a lot worse for you than if you eat something and feel good about it. And so how are you approaching your food? And I also think too, like, asking yourself about these thoughts, like, how are these supporting me? If all I want is to get pregnant and have this baby, how is telling myself every day you're too old, there's no hope? How does that, like, those do not line up. You are so far out of alignment, right? So if your desire is over here and your thoughts are like completely the opposite, how can we get them to match a little bit, And I think we put so much pressure on that, like that desired outcome, like it's baby or nothing, baby or bust. And it's like, you gotta have joy now. You gotta figure out what makes you happy right now. So I like the idea of the list, and then kind of starting to reframe those thoughts. And then if you can take it one step further than that, is just like, can I find social proof of women who were in my shoes that have overcome it? Look at their stories. What did they do? Like, get the momentum going on that side of the story, of the success side, versus the momentum going of like the deep, dark rabbit hole of, how many women with an AMH of 0.014 had to do donor eggs. You know what I mean? Like, stop. Like, and actually, like, stop doing that altogether. Stop, Dr. Google. Because it is not helpful. And I think, like, look at who you surround yourself with. Who do you feel safe talking to about your fertility journey? Do you have a community of support of like people who don't judge you? And I even think like pick and choose who you share things with, because some people are just going to be more judgmental than others, or have their opinions that are just unfiltered and not very evolved. And, it's not what you need. So creating healthy boundaries in relationships. Like, do you mind if from now on I just tell you about like the wins, and I don't really want to talk about my fertility journey every day? And then you have other friends that it feels really safe, or, maybe it's a woman who's gone through it or is going through something similar. I think those are the ones who best understand where you're at, and sharing in that space too. And just, but you want to start to, I guess the key is to really start to acknowledge those thoughts and then to begin reframing them, and then, look around and what's feeding that fire, what's helping reframe too, and surround yourself in that environment. And then I do think like meditation and, affirmations and, mindset coaching and exercise and like all the things, like, and then the acts of self-care really feel good, because it's like, I'm doing this to help me get to that end game instead of shooting myself in the foot or sabotaging myself every day because I think I'm worthless as it is, So it's really just like, I think once you start getting rooted in acknowledging those thoughts and then starting to reframe them, you choose food from a better space, because it's like, well, you know what? I do feel better when I cut out gluten and dairy. I poop better. My skin's better. I have less cramps. Like, I don't know a single woman who doesn't. So it's just like, you can't be the only one, but to start to approach it from that perspective of like, I do feel better if I don't drink every day. I do feel better if I don't smoke, or, when I eat vegetables, I actually do feel better, just to start to think about all of that. And I feel good choosing organic foods and buying, what's it called? Oh my God. Not factory farmed meat, the other thing, grass-fed meat, sorry. Wild fish and grass-fed meat. Like, think about like the environmental reasons for that. Like, start avoiding pesticides, go more organic with your, bath and beauty products, because it's better for the environment. It's better for the water you drink. Like, think about like this from a global perspective, not just, I have to do all these things to get pregnant and it sucks because it's so easy for everybody else. And that could be true, so honor how you feel, but, just start to ask yourself, like, how does this support me? How do these thoughts support me? How is this helping me get to where I want to be?
I love all of that. I completely agree. And I find it's so rewarding when you see that switch in a client, like when somebody tells you,
amazing,
like, I had a cheat day and I felt like crap the next day, and I can't believe this stuff actually works. Eating healthy. I want to feel like, I don't want to feel like crap. So it's just such a crazy thing. And I love that you say kind of write it down, get those thoughts out on paper.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like we don't even realize we're talking to ourselves like this.
Oh my God. No, I don't think we do at all.
And then I wouldn't talk to my best friend like that. Why am I saying this to myself? Mm-hmm. I love that you say that. Oh,
yeah. And that's it. It's just like, start filtering. And I really do think like, and I know you see it as well with your clients, of just, when I get a woman to actually prioritize taking care of herself on every level, nutritionally, physically, mentally, emotionally, like where she's all about nourishing herself. And that means changing relationships that no longer serve you. And, like it's every layer of it. That's when I know, like, okay, the key is in the lock, and now the magic. Now I just get to step back and watch the magic happen. You know what I mean? It's like, now the magic will happen. And, call me when you get that positive pregnancy test. Right. But it's so rewarding, because it's like, that to me is what my work is really about. That, like, I just want to create women who really love and appreciate themselves and like who they see in the mirror, because that is the mother that this child needs. And that's, the mothers that this world needs. And so to me, it's about that, mm-hmm. And for a lot of women, unfortunately, and you guys will get there, or maybe you won't, but maybe you'll get half there, and that's enough for you, and that's great. I do think fertility is on a spectrum, and everybody's impacted differently, and the shifts, are so, like, one girl has to cut out all nuts and beans, and the other one can just like cut back on things, and she's fine. It just depends. I think it really depends on our genetics and our SNPs, but another conversation another time. But it's, or how old we are, like how long have our pipes been really clogged. But it's that thing where when she realizes, like, I am first, I am the most important piece in this puzzle. And that it's really about her taking care of herself. And that's where I think we all want to be deep down, to be mothers. I think somewhere though, because someone threatened us that this wasn't going to happen, we got like desperate and are, just I'll do anything to get pregnant. And we kind of forgot who we are in the process. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
About some of the physical, you have a lot of suggestions in the book about, changing up your diet and going gluten-free, low inflammation diet. So what are kind of your top 3 things that you recommend on the physical piece as far as food, lifestyle to kind of focus on? I know that's a loaded question.
Yeah. Well, so it's like diet, especially like has to be like, I think you just have to eat good quality protein. I don't think vegetarianism or veganism works for trying to get pregnant. Plain and simple. I just don't think it works. I love you guys. I was a vegetarian once before. I understand it. It does not work for fertility. Even if you could I always say to my girls, just give me fish and eggs and some broth. We can do this. But if you can't at least give me eggs and broth, it's going to be, if you're already having challenges. Yes, there are vegetarians and vegans that get pregnant, but they're different. And so I think it's that, like eating good quality protein, vegetables, and fat. Like that is the main constituency of your diet, and that's it. Organic. And then number 2 would be you gotta go clean with your bath and beauty products, like 100%. The endocrine disrupting chemicals in there are just they're terrible for our hormones, just terrible for our hormones, and they're terrible for pregnancy. They're terrible for developing children. So just get them out. So I think that would be 1 and 2. And then number 3 is, try to find a way to not make it all about like, I'll be happy when I get the baby. There was a time in your life that you were happy before you had children or before you thought about having children, and, or in your marriage or relationship, partnership, whatever you're in, even if you're single, like what lights your fire? Cause I want you to have that fire before, like what I typically see is the women get their fire back, then the baby comes, and it doesn't have to be like 100% fire back, or like it could be 20%, or they're thinking about it, they're opening up, but like, it's almost just like I talk about it in Yes, You Can Get Pregnant, but like what else are you giving birth to? Like get in the energy of creation and excitement and fun and like that feminine energy where you're receiving and there's joy and there's passion. You got to light your fire again. And I think that might, I don't know, it's on par with going organic, I think, and eating a good quality diet. I really do. Yeah.
I agree. And I always talk about that too. I feel like fertility is about what can I do? It's so masculine. Like,
it's so masculine.
But let's just let's sit in that feminine energy, take care of ourselves, our soul, our minds, and just be. And then light that fire and hopefully get pregnant.
That's it. That's it. And I do think it's like, if you believe or subscribe maybe to all the spirit baby conversation, which I think is really beautiful and so therapeutic for so many women, there is this notion that, the child's up there just kind of watching and saying like, I know the exact right, it's not when or not if I'm coming through, but when it's the right time for them, that you're going to be in the form that they need. You're going to be the quality of the person that they need to be mothered by, and so, and I'm being facetious, I suppose, when I say this, but like, do you really think a child is like eager to come through, like towards some woman who's just like, where's my fucking baby? I'm gluten-free for a year. I fucking ate this whole thing. Like that's not super fun. Like, I don't want to be bothered by that lady. She sounds scary. And I'm being silly with you guys, but I am trying to lighten it up a little bit, but think about that, of like creating that environment. Like this could be fun. I mean, that's like an exercise like I'm currently doing where like I see us when we're having like our family fun time, or like, I'm having quality time with my son. And I just think about like, how else would another child fit into this mix? And like it almost this thing of like in communication with that child, like, see how much fun this life is. Like, come on in and join us. You know what I mean? We're having a blast here. Like we'd love to have you come through. And I would like to think that, if I were, didn't have, my son, it still would be that thing of like, okay, see, your daddy and I, like, we just love each other and we're having fun, or, our partnerships or your family, whatever it is, like, look at this home and, this thing of just like almost, luring them in too, in a sense of like, like, look at all this I'm doing for you. Like, I'm creating this healthy vessel for you to live in, and then this healthy home and this life, and we're going to do these things and it's going to be fun, and, just get that excitement behind it too. Yeah.
I love that. And that's almost making me choke up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful way to think about it, and just is such a shift in the paradigm. So
yeah,
I love that. This episode is going to help so many women.
Oh, well, good. I hope so. I love all you guys, and I'm sorry that you're struggling. It sucks, so be really kind to yourself and have a lot of compassion.
For sure.
Yeah.
So tell me a little more about your programs. I know you just launched a new program online, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, it's not too new. It's my Yes, You Can Get Pregnant e-course. Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah.
Maybe. I went to your website. For some reason, I was thinking it was a new program, but maybe that it's not.
My fertility the group coaching program is new, but so we changed the e-course. We only launch it once a year. And so it just launched in September, which I think maybe, you had seen.
That's what you're talking about.
Every year I update it, and it's, it's extensive. It's like 16 hours. It's like a college course in optimizing fertility, but comes with a secret Facebook group. And, yeah, it's just lovely. I think it's like, I always say, like, next to my child, it's the best thing I ever created.
Right.
And so, but then like there's extensions of that. Like, and so if you don't buy in September, you can't actually get it in unless you coach with us. And then you get discounts, and then we incentivize you to join, because it actually really, I think, it adds so much bonus to the coaching with us. But then, throughout the year, right now we're doing my Fertility Reboot, which is a 30-day mind body reset program. We run that a couple times a year. I have another program called Yes, which is all about shifting your mindset. So it's just purely mindset. There's not like a lick of dietary conversation there. So same thing. We were planning to do a reboot at the beginning of, I think, in March or April. And COVID hit, and I was like, I cannot be telling these people what to do with diet right now. Like, everybody's on lockdown. I was like, let's just do the Yes program, because we hadn't done it in a while. And it was such a big hit. People just needed the mindset shift. It was so great. And so, that was only the second time we'd ever run it. And so now we're realizing, like, the reboot and the mindset are like the great, like, 4-week programs that like people just love, and they can dive in. And I think really, like, and they're both around $100. Like, it's not, we don't make it expensive. And you get so much, you get like live, group coaching with me, and, all these other things. So they're really great programs. So I think I would just keep an eye out for those, because we're always like every 3 months, we're basically launching one of them. And I think those are so helpful to women, because, I think we just always need like a jump start, if you will, and just, how to best support ourselves on this. And then also to be around a community of women who understand you and are going through what you're going through. So yeah, those are my 3 main programs. And then we have fertility coaching on the site. I mean, since COVID hit, our coaching got so busy that I had to take on, I just took on my second associate. So I have associates in my clinics that are acupuncturists that treat a lot of fertility, and now they're also online fertility coaches under me, working. Yeah, it's great. It's great. So it's so nice, because I had to put myself on a wait list, and I was like, I can't service all these women. And so now, exactly. It's amazing. And so bring on somebody else, because what's nice too is like I do weekly, like hour and a half meetings with my coaches separate. So it's like 3 hours total, and we just go over cases. And like, so every single person that coaches with my associate, like, totally gets my insight. Like I'm in there with them. I'm making notes, and I have feedback. It's just like that front facing, like I just don't have the bandwidth or the capacity. And also, where I'm at and the goals I have, I'm trying to also exercise healthy boundaries. So I save enough for me and to grow a baby. But yeah, it's like, those are really, and that keeps us very busy, over here. Those programs and the coaching. It's like, yeah, we're a busy team. And then we also have our skincare line, which, just kind of grows as a side effect of all the things we do. And yeah, I mean, that's all the things. And I go live every week on Instagram and Facebook, at the same time. And I talk about, this week we're going to focus on gratitude, like how to have gratitude during the journey. And so, hopefully that resonates with people, because I do think that's really hard. I think focusing on gratitude while you're on the path to trying to conceive, which I do think is challenging. And so how can we find the little things to like celebrate the small wins along the way,
I love it. And so where can people find you? What's Instagram?
I think my website is the best place, aimeeraupp.com. All my books are on the website. My skincare, I have a whole page of like my recommended supplements, and then all my programs and things of that nature on there too. And then my stories of hope, which I think women just love. And that's typically how they find me. That and my castor oil video. For some reason, castor oil packs and stories of hope are like the biggest hits on my Google Analytics. It's really funny. But people love the stories of hope, and there's so many of them at this point. So chances are you'll find one or two that really resonate with you. And we try to list like the age and their diagnosis in the title, so you can really like differentiate like, oh, I don't have premature ovarian failure, I have endometriosis, or I've had miscarriages, or I'm 44, that kind of thing. I think those are really something special that we get to share with everybody.
Oh, I love it. So many things. So
yes.
Love it. So any comments before we close out here?
No, I mean, I think we covered so much, and I feel like your listeners got a lot of information. I think just honor that hope in your heart.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's been my honor.
Thank you so much. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening to the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L Podcast, guys. And until next week, we'll see you then. Bye. Hey, hang on just 1 second before you go. I want to make sure that you are aware of all of the amazing free resources that I have for you on my website at CoachKayla.com. From a fertility meal plan, a cycle syncing quick start guide, a holistic healing cookbook, as well as master classes, blog posts by me and some amazing experts in the fields of fertility, hormones, and nutrition. So many wonderful resources that will help you on your journey. And I wish there had been something like this when I was going through my 2 years of infertility, but there just wasn't. And so that's why I decided to create all of this for you. So make sure that you go and check it out and you take advantage of this plethora of support that I have provided for you. And spoiler alert, these were some of the same tricks and the same foods that I used to get myself pregnant, not once, but twice, even after my doctors said that I couldn't. So I know that these things work. Make sure you take advantage of that. And I cannot wait for you to be my next success story. So thanks, love. See you soon. Thanks for tuning in today to the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L Podcast. Check out the show notes for today's episode at CoachKayla.com. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next week.